All right, let's dive into an absolutely epic story today. We're talking about a kingdom at the very peak of its power. I mean, shimmering with gold and glory, and how it all just came crashing down. It's a powerful story of division, of conflict, and, believe it or not, some seriously timeless lessons about leadership and what it means to build a legacy. So, I want you to picture this. After decades, literal decades of wandering and war, the nation is finally at peace. They're united under one king, the famous King Solomon. And right at the heart of it all is his crowning achievement, the magnificent temple in Jerusalem. Now, this wasn't just any building. It took 7 years to construct using the finest cedar from Lebanon, precious stones, and just tons of shimmering gold. This thing was the ultimate symbol of their unity, their faith, and their arrival on the world stage. You can just feel the energy at the dedication ceremony, right? The atmosphere was absolutely electric. This quote, I think, captures it perfectly. There was this huge, overwhelming sense of national pride and divine blessing. After all that hard work, the nation was celebrating. This was the absolute peak, a true golden age. It honestly must have felt like nothing could possibly go wrong. And that, right there, is the central question we're going to tackle. How does a nation go from that incredible moment of unity and joy to a bitter civil war that literally rips it in two? Well, the answer is a lot more subtle than you might think. Okay, let's get into it. See, the kingdom's downfall didn't start with some big invasion or a massive rebellion. Nope, it started quietly, with a simple but devastating shift in priorities. And the evidence? It was right there for everyone to see, built in stone and cedar. While that amazing temple was being built, King Solomon also kicked off a whole series of personal building projects. Now, on the surface, they look pretty similar. Both use the best materials, the best craftsmen, the whole shebang. But their purpose tells a very, very different story. One was a house for God, meant to be the center of the nation's faith. The other, well, it was a collection of houses for the king, designed to project his own power and his own wealth. Okay, remember this number, 7 years. The Great Temple, this massive architectural and spiritual undertaking, was finished in 7 years. Truly an incredible feat. And then there's this number. Solomon spent 13 years, 13, building his own royal palaces. That's nearly double the time he spent on the house for God. So here's the crucial point. While both projects were glorious, the timeline reveals this subtle but really profound shift. The king's house was starting to take precedence. And all this glory, well, it came with a hefty price tag. To fund these huge back-to-back construction projects, Solomon had to levy heavy taxes and use forced labor. The nation's resources, both people and materials, were just getting exhausted. And while the buildings were beautiful, no doubt, the burden on the people created this deep resentment that was just simmering right below the surface. So now let's jump forward a generation. King Solomon dies and his son, Rehoboam, takes the throne. All that simmering resentment we just talked about, it's about to boil over. And it all comes down to a single fateful conversation. So the people come to the new king with a pretty simple request. Hey, can you maybe ease up on the taxes and forced labor? His older, experienced advisors tell him, look, this is your chance. Be kind and you'll win their loyalty forever. But his younger, more arrogant friends, they tell him to show him who's boss. Rehoboam, well, he listens to his friends and delivers one of the most disastrous lines in political history, promising to be even harsher than his father. Oof. The response from the people was immediate, and it was decisive. The nation fractures. Just like that. 10 of the 12 tribes rebel and form the new northern kingdom of Israel. Only 2 tribes stay loyal to Rehoboam in the southern kingdom of Judah. The golden age is officially, tragically over. So now we've got these 2 new nations. They're born from the same family, but wow, they could not be more different. From this point on, their histories unfold in 2 completely separate and often conflicting directions. Now, this is where the data really tells the story. Just look at the difference here. The south, Judah, it lasts for over 400 years with one single stable dynasty. Their kings are kind of a mixed bag. You got some good ones, some bad ones. But the north, Israel, whoa, it lasts only about half as long. It burns through 9 different dynasties, with succession often decided by, yes, murder. And get this, every single one of its 20 kings is described as evil. Not a great track record. And this right here just brilliantly illustrates the chaos in the north. I mean, this isn't stable government. It's just a constant, bloody cycle of betrayal and assassination. Kings in the north rarely died of old age. The throne was something you took by force, and you held onto it for dear life, until someone stronger or maybe just more treacherous came along. But the story isn't just about corrupt kings, thank goodness, because into this spiritual and political darkness, some of the most powerful figures in the entire Old Testament emerge, the prophets. You could say they were sent as a divine response, speaking truth to power in the most dangerous of times. And they don't get much more dynamic than Elijah. He operated in the northern kingdom during the reign of the notoriously wicked King Ahab. Elijah was known as the fire prophet for his burning zeal and, well, for literally calling down fire from the sky in a dramatic showdown against 450 false prophets. Talk about making a point. During his incredible ministry, the scriptures record Elijah performing 8 distinct miracles. A powerful number for sure, but it's what happens next that's truly amazing. So, as Elijah's time on earth was coming to an end, his hand-picked successor, a guy named Elisha, made a really bold request. He asked for a double portion of Elijah's spirit. It was basically a plea to carry on the work with twice the anointing and twice the power. And you won't believe it. His request was granted. In the biblical account, Elisha goes on to perform exactly 16 miracles, double the number of his master. It's this stunning confirmation that even in the middle of all that chaos and corruption, God's work not only continues, it can actually multiply. Okay, so what in the world can this ancient story of kings and temples and prophets teach us today? Well, as it turns out, the lessons are surprisingly relevant. So let's break down some of the timeless truths hidden in all this history. First, there's the principle of the 2 houses. Your calendar and your bank account, they're a much better measure of your priorities than your words are. So are you investing your best time and energy building a legacy for a higher purpose, a temple, or just a bigger palace for yourself? Second, there's the folly of harsh counsel. Pride just makes us deaf to wisdom. It is so crucial to surround yourself with people who will tell you what you need to hear, not just what your ego wants to hear. And finally, the marathon of faithfulness. A brilliant start means nothing without a strong finish. Solomon's life is a really stark reminder that your first chapter doesn't get to write your last. You know, when you boil it all down, this entire epic is a story about choices and consequences, and how they echo through generations. And it leaves all of us with a really powerful question. Each of us is writing a story, building a legacy, one decision at a time. The only question is, what lesson will yours teach?